Since we have discussed free-falling bodies, now let's try to solve some sample problem. Sample problem number 1. Ryan and Louie are playing basketball on the rooftop of the building. Then suddenly, Ryan throw a ball vertically upward from the rooftop of a tall building. The ball leaves Ryan's hands at a point even with the roof railing with an upward speed of 15 meters per second. The ball is then free to fall. Calculate the position and the velocity of the ball 1 second and 4 seconds after leaving Ryan's hand. B. The velocity when the ball is 5 meters above railing. And calculate the maximum height reached and the time at which it is reached. So for the question A, the position and the velocity of the ball 1 seconds and 4 seconds after leaving Ryan's hand. So yung given natin is, according sa problem, meron tayong initial velocity na 15 meter per seconds. Then given din tayo ng time na 1 seconds and 4 seconds. Then yung required natin is the position y and the velocity of the ball 1 seconds and 4 seconds after leaving Ryan's hand. So for our illustration, this is the building, and this is Ryan, and there's the ball, and this is the roof railing. So the initial velocity is 15 meters per second. Based on the given, we're gonna use the equation delta y is equals to initial velocity multiply time minus 1/2 multiply gravity and time. So for our solution, at 1 seconds, delta y, which is the y final and y initial minus 15 multiply 1 minus 1/2 multiply the gravity, which is equivalent to 9.81, and multiplied 1, which is the given seconds squared. So the answer will be 9 is equals to 10.095 meters. At 1 seconds, the ball will reach 10.095 meters per second. Now, for 4 seconds, we're gonna use the same formula. Y minus y initial equals 15 multiply 4, which is the seconds, or the time, minus 1/2 multiply 9.81 multiply time, which is 4 raised to 2. So after 4 seconds, the ball will reach 18.48 meters below the original position. 1 seconds, pagka-release ng ball is 10.095. Then 4 seconds after nung pagka-release ng ball, from the original position, which is even dito sa ating railing, dito yung pinaka-starting point or yung original position ng ball. Then after 4 seconds, since nahulog na siya, and it is distance as 18.48 meters. That's why it is negative here kasi pababa na siya from the original position. Next. Solve naman natin yung velocity at 1 seconds and 4 seconds. With the given data, we're gonna use the equation V final equals V initial minus gravity multiply time. And for our solution, velocity at 1 seconds. Vy is equals to 15 meter per second, which is yung initial velocity natin, minus 9.81 meter per second squared multiply time. So makakancel niyan yung dito yung S, dito S, and matitira yung meter per second. And yung final velocity natin at 1 seconds is 5.19 meter per second. And at 4 seconds, yung velocity natin, using the same formula, Vy is equals to V initial minus gravity multiply time. So inputting the data, the velocity, wait, correction, Vy yun. The velocity at 4 seconds is equals to negative 24.24 meter per seconds. Yun. So, at 1 seconds, pagka-release ng ball sa hand ni Ryan, nagkaroon siya ng velocity ng 5.19 meter per seconds. At 4 seconds, yung velocity is negative 24.24 meter per seconds. That explains yung kanina. Wait, balik tayo kanina. Yun. That explains kanina since at 4 seconds, bumaba na yung ball at na-obtain niya yung 18.48 meter per second. This supports yung idea na yung velocity at 4 seconds is negative 24.24 meter per seconds. Since pababa na yung ball mula sa original position niya. Vy yun, Vy. Next, the velocity when the ball is 5 meter above railing. And for our given data, V initial is still 15 meter per seconds. And Y is 5.5 meters. And for our required, ayun. So, ipapakita ko lang yung illustration natin. Unlike dun sa kanina, na-adjust yung distance ng ball, yung original position ng ball natin. If yung kanina sa first problem, yung railing, yung level ng ball is sa railing. Then sa problem na ito, 5 meters above railing na siya. Yan. So yung required natin is the velocity when the ball is 5 meter above railing. Yun nga. So now we're gonna calculate for the velocity using this equation. Vy squared is equals to V initial squared minus 2 multiply gravity multiply delta y. Since wala tayong ibang given kundi yung V initial, and since di naman natin ma-identify kung anong time yung na-reach ng ball sa 5 meters na to, we're gonna use this equation. So for our solution, applying the data, Vy squared is equals to V initial, which is 15 meter per second squared, minus 2, multiply gravity, which is 9.81 meters per second squared, multiply delta y, which is y final minus y initial. Since given tayo ng y final, which is yung pinapasolve is 5 meter above the railing. Yun. So solving, Vy squared is equals to 1.26.9 and then square root natin para makuha yung Vy. So yung Vy natin is 11.26 starting 5 meters above the railing. Starting dito, unlike yung kanina nag-start sa even or pantay dito sa railing, in-adjust yung ball na 5 meters. So sa 5 meter na to, na-obtain niya yung velocity na 11.26 meter per seconds. So, problem C, the maximum height reached and the time at which it is reached. So, yung given natin, meron tayong given, same, velocity, initial velocity, which is 15 meter per second. So, the problem is, yung at maximum height, yung na-obtain nating velocity is 0. meter per second. Basta na-reach na yung maximum height, yung velocity, yung final velocity will drop 0 meter per second. So yung required natin, the maximum height, y, reach, and the time at which it is reached. So we're gonna use the equation Vy is equals to V initial minus gravity multiply time. Ayun. Bali, i-identify natin yung maximum height na na-reach ng ball pagka-release ng ball sa kamay ni Ryan. At saka yung time na na-reach, at saka yung time kung kailan niya na-reach yung maximum height. So we're gonna use this equation. Ayan. Yung kamukha nga ng sinabi ko, pag na-reach na niya yung maximum height, yung final velocity, it becomes 0. Kasi hindi na siya pwedeng tumaas. Next. So, following the equation, Vy is equals to V initial minus gravity multiply time. So, since yung V initial natin is same pa rin, which is 15 meter per seconds, minus 9.81 meter per second squared, multiply time. So, yung hinahanap natin dito is yung maximum time. Yung time na na-reach niya yung highest height. Yung maximum height rather. So yun, i-apply mo lang yung data, 15 minus 9.81 meter per seconds, makakancel to, and matitira ka ng seconds. Cancel yan. Yan. So yung time natin is 1.53 seconds. Yun yung yung time na ma-reach niya yung highest point. Highest maximum height. Yun. So pag na-reach niya yung pinaka-maximum height, na-reach niya yun at ayun, 1.53 seconds. Next, i-identify naman natin yung maximum height required, yung maximum height. So, yung equation natin gagamitin, since na-solve na natin kanina yung time na ma-reach niya yung maximum height, gamitin natin yung equation na to since given din naman tayo ng initial velocity tsaka yung time. So, we're gonna use this formula, delta y minus v initial multiply time minus 1/2 multiply gravity multiply time squared. Yung time na gagamitin natin is yung na-solve natin kanina. Yung 1.53. Since ito yung kumbaga time maximum, ito yung time na na-consume niya para ma-reach yung maximum height. So to solve for the maximum height, ayun, using this formula and the data na nakuha natin kanina. Ayun, delta y minus y initial equals to 15 multiply 1.53 yung time kanina minus 1/2 multiply 9.81 multiply 1.53 squared. So since yung y initial natin is 0, since yun yung pinaka-starting point, automatic magiging 0 na to. So maiiwan yung y, which is yung y final. And yung na-solve natin is 11.47 meter. Yun. So sa height na 11.47 meter, it will take 1.53 seconds para ma-reach yun. Yan, ulit na lang yun. And yun na lang yung yun na lang yung na-solve natin. So ulit yung since na-solve na natin lahat ng problem, basta tatandaan lang na mag-base pa rin tayo sa given problem or given data para at least alam natin yung formula na gagamitin natin. Now, let's proceed to projectile to be presented by REYES.
Gigs, naka-disable yung share screen.
Wait lang. Yan, Woods, try mo na.
Yan, nakalito. Okay na ba?
Yan, ayos na.
Okay. So, ngayon, sa projectile motion, yung projectile motion is yung, for example, is nag-throw ka ng ball and may angle na given. Yan ay projectile siya. yung mga ano din is mga upper na hinagis patas na bola is natatawag din nating projectile. Tap, yun lang yung ano, yung halos yan lang yung definition ng projectile. So, proceed tayo sa example. Ito, yung unang example natin is an object is launched at a velocity of 20 meter per second in a direction making an angle of 25 degrees upward with the horizontal.
Wait
Between
lang.
launch and
Yan. Sige.
ha?
Kanina.
What is the total flight time between launch and touching the ground of the object? Letter C. What is the horizontal range maximum x above the ground of the object? D. What is the magnitude and of the velocity of the object just before it hits the ground? So, proceed tayo sa given. Ito yung illustration ng problem. This is the initial velocity which is 20 meter per second. Ito yung angle na given which is 25 degrees. So, yung given natin is initial velocity 20 meter per second, theta which is 25 degrees, and g which is ano, 80 meter per second squared. Yung hinahanap natin is yung y, ito, or yung b, yung maximum height, yung b is total time, yung time na tinake niya para maabot itong point na to, and c, horizontal range, which is itong distance not from A to C. Tapos lastly is the final velocity, yung velocity ng object before it hits the ground. Yun. So proceed tayo sa equations. Ito yung given equations. Vx is initial velocity times cos theta. Vy is equals to Vo, V initial velocity sin theta minus gravity times time. X equals initial velocity cosine theta times time, and y equals the initial velocity sine theta times t minus 1 half gt squared. So, proceed tayo sa letter A. Sa letter A, sabi sa letter A is what is the maximum height reached by the object? So, dito yung hinahanap natin. Pag maximum height, yung Vy natin is which is the initial ay vertical velocity. So, matik doon, 0 yung vertical natin. So, substitute natin siya sa first equation which is Vy equals initial velocity sine theta minus gt. Substitute mo lang yung given which is 0 equals 20 times sine 25 minus 9.81 times t. And makukuha natin na t equals 0.86 seconds. Yan yung time na ginamit niya para ma-reach yung highest point. Tapos, using the fourth equation, substitute natin yung time para makuha yung vertical distance which is the highest maximum point sa ayun, substitute natin is 20 meters per second times sine 25 times 0.86 minus 1 half 9.81 times 0.86 squared. Ang nakuha nating result is y equals 3.64 meters. So yung distance natin from dito hanggang letter B is 3.64 meters. Yun yung letter A. So letter B naman, hinahanap ay yung what is the total flight time. Yung time na tinake from A to letter C. Yun yan. So sa letter B, y equals 0 kasi yun yung ground. It means 0 yung vertical component natin. So, substitute natin siya sa fourth equation which is 0 equals initial velocity times sine theta times t minus 1 half gt squared. So, yung time natin is makukuha natin ay, yan, yung time natin is makukuha natin dito. Divide mo natin both sides by t, magiging 0. 0 equals v initial velocity sine theta minus 1 half gt. Then, ililipat natin to sa kabila. Then, divide both sides by g, which is 9.81. ang time na na-take niya from A to C is equals to 1.72 seconds. So, from A hanggang C, nag-take siya ng 1.72 seconds. So, proceed tayo sa letter C, which is the horizontal component. Yung horizontal distance niya from A to C. So, nakuha natin yung total time kanina, which is 1.72 seconds. And using the third equation, x equals initial velocity cos theta times t. Substitute mo lang lahat ng given. And makakuha natin is x equals 31.62 meters. Yan na yung letter C. Na from A to C, ang distance natin is 31.62 meters. Ay 26 meters. And last sa letter D, yung t pa rin is gagamitin natin na 1.72 seconds. Kukunin natin yung vertical velocity and horizontal velocity using the first and second equation. So, using time t equals 1.72 seconds, sa first equation natin, Vy equals initial velocity times sin theta minus gt. Substitute lang tayo ng mga given. Yan. And tapos, ang final answer is negative 8.42 meters per second. And yung second equation, initial velocity, Vx equals initial velocity cos theta. Vx, ang substitute lang natin yung mga given, makukuha natin is 18.13 meter per second. And alam naman natin is horizontal, the square of the horizontal and square the vertical. Tapos i-square root mo, makuha is yung velocity. So, i-equate natin siya, Vx squared plus Vy squared. Substitute mo lang, tapos kunin yung square root. Ang final answer natin is 19.99 or 20 meters per second. Yun lang yung projectile. Okay.